what would it be like to allow your business to take care of you? And I really had to think about it.
I have Melanie Coddington of Coddington Design. She has built world-class homes for self-made millionaires and truly inspiring leaders.
Because you were parentified as a child, you learned that your worthiness and your value was wrapped up in caretaking and doing things. And is it possible that you've unconsciously recreated that pattern in your business? So you're caretaking your business instead of having your business take care of you.
Hi, CEOs. Welcome back to the CEO School podcast. I'm your host, Suneera, and today I have such a treat for you because I have Melanie Coddington of Coddington Design, and she has built world-class homes for self-made millionaires who are down to earth and truly inspiring leaders. Her story is so inspiring. She has been a dear friend for the last 2 years through our Millionaire Founders Club group. And I asked her to be on the show for so many different reasons. So I'm just like dying to get in. But truly, like after years of transforming people's homes, she does something called life-proof homes and ego-free design. So I'm going to deep dive into that. But my favorite part about Melanie is not just her accolades and just the homes that she's designed, but her mindset as a CEO. And I feel like you've become a mentor to me in what you've achieved. And after achieving so much success, how you've been able to successfully give up the grind and the hustle and the culture that built our businesses. Melanie, you've just done such a fantastic job with that. And so I'm so excited for our audience to get to know you as well as how we can all be free from the business that we built.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Welcome to the show. And tell us a little bit about how did you start your, Coddington Design, and just kind of tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, it was actually my second career. I started out in human resources and recruiting, and I kept changing the type of company I was working for in recruiting because I just wasn't finding my niche. And the final thing I was doing was like hiring architects, just trying to get a little bit closer because in all my free time, I was like watching HGTV, reading Shelter magazines, but I was so afraid to start interior design because I thought if I failed at it, that it would break my heart. So I wasted actually a fair amount of time just not doing anything. And then finally, one day I had enough and I answered a Craigslist ad for a receptionist. And I took like an 80% pay cut and was a receptionist. I had a master's degree in sociology. I was like, oh, here I am. And I found my people. I was like, they care about color. They care about fabric.
And this was at a design firm.
Yeah, so it was luxury interior design.
And you were like, I don't care where I'm going to begin. I'm going to quit just to switch my industry.
Yeah.
That's brave.
Yes, it was brave and it was quite naive. I didn't really change my lifestyle at all. And so I found myself with like credit card debt and I was like, but I was so happy. And obviously I figured it all out.
And so what happened from there?
I worked for the designer for 2 years. And then I was like, she shouldn't have done this, but she put me in charge of time bills. And I noticed how much she was charging my time for. And I was like, ooh, maybe I should go out on my own. So I went out on my own part-time and I realized, I don't really know as much as I thought I did. So then I became like the best employee ever because I was like, I need to figure out how this all works. And then I launched my business with 0 clients because I tried to give like 6 months notice. And she was like, how about you go, let's take a month. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was just thrown into the fire. And in San Francisco, they have this really cool thing called the San Francisco Decorator Showcase. And I kind of threw my hat in the ring. It's like it's something you have to be selected for. And I got selected and that just launched my career. And I started getting like well-known big name clients. And yeah, that's how it all started.
It's funny that when we look back, it's like, there's like defining moments in your career or in milestones. And I do think you kind of like know those like when you look back, you know those defining moments, but sometimes when you're going through it, you don't know if it's going to be a defining moment, but it's like saying yes to the things that leads to those defining moments. That was a defining moment for you of that show. Yeah. And it changes your mindset. Like when you feel, especially as a woman, I think it's like feeling that level of like the credibility. That's a lot of confidence. Like it really drives that confidence in you to be like, oh, I can do this. And just having someone, and it shouldn't be, we need to be working on the inside out to have our own confidence, which I know we're going to get to. But sometimes those external validators really do somehow trigger our brains to be like, oh, I am worthy of doing it, which is not the case. It's like the opposite of the case. But that also happened for me. It was this huge article that happened to, like, I literally got front page Fast Company digital, like on the website. And it was the woman trying to change the credit card industry. I was like 25 years old. I talked to the reporter and I'd shared this business model. We maybe had like 80 customers. So it wasn't, we were like this huge payments company, but they were just obsessed over this model and they did this article, but it really changed the way I thought about, and I'm like, yep, we're thinking too small and now we're going to like go conquer the world. But
yeah, those
are defining moments. And then the clients start happening. As a designer, you're definitely trading time. You're getting paid for your time, which you learned about. But how did the business growth kind of happen there? Because you successfully scaled that company. I want you to kind of share a little bit about that growth because it was really impressive.
I have always been kind of a business nerd. So I had that creative side, but I also had the business brain.
Yeah, the master's degree that ended up becoming the receptionist.
Yeah. So it's been a windy path, but it's almost like two different brains when you're a creative person and you're really wanting to create. So that can come out in interior design for me like it did, but then it would also come out in like me creating new business models and new products and new services and things that really nobody wanted, right? It was just, I was interested in doing that and it was fun for me. And I actually caused a lot of problems in my business because what a business likes is stability. It likes the same thing over and over again, which is not what creative people and what entrepreneurs like. So in that way, it was actually a little bit easier for me to start letting my team run projects because then I could go off and start other companies and do other things.
So you've designed homes for what you call self-made millionaires. Right. And so what are some of the unexpected traits that all of your clients share?
The interesting thing is they're all actually very kind people, which is really nice. I tend to separate money from the type of people. I think there are people out there that think if you have too much money, you're not a kind person, you're not a nice person. I don't believe that because then that becomes a real manifestation blocker for you. If you're like, oh, I can't have money because then I'm going to be a mean person. So they've all been really kind. But what I've noticed for them is that they get a lot of help, right? They all have help. And when I was first starting, I was like, I am the help, by the way. I am just one person of many that helps these people run their lives.
Yeah.
And what they've all really taught me is time is the most important thing. You cannot buy that. You can't get it. You can buy it a little bit, though, by hiring people like me or, getting help around the house. And then they all are just very, I'm in Silicon Valley, so it's very, everyone's very forward thinking, very future thinking.
Yeah.
It's really fun to be around because, we're just putting interesting tech in people's houses. One of my designers, we didn't do this in our firm, but she came to me and told me about a firm she was in where they had done like bulletproof walls for a tech founder. Like, it's just wild stuff that happens.
I want to take a little caveat here. Who like any fun Silicon Valley tech people that we would know that you've designed or any fun projects that you can share?
No.
No. We're not going to go there. No, NDAs. Yeah, they're pretty good about that.
And we can't really photograph a whole lot of them either. But I would say, like, actually, most of our clients are not tech founders. They're more like VCs or they're more in finance. So they're kind of, under the radar anyway.
I do want to ask, you also talk about ego-free design. What does that mean? Like, what is ego-free design?
This, I think, is why a lot of interior designers have trouble delegating and have trouble stepping away is because I think their ego gets involved with like, this is my design. This is my creativity. I think there's like the trope or the stereotype of an interior designer, like hand waving and be like, this will not do. You cannot have this, only this. So I would build my business off people having their first designer not understanding that they needed a child-proof house, not understanding that they needed a house that could stand up to dogs, or designers are putting like little tippy glass tables everywhere and they've got toddlers and it makes no sense. But interior designers can get their egos involved in that, like, well, it has to be this way. It has to be this vision. And they kind of like shame their clients for like having real lives.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but and that's what we mean by ego-free is like, we don't shame people for how they live. Like, we have no judgment. It's your house. We're just here to support you.
I love
live your best life in it.
That is really cool. I'm actually building, we're building our dream home. and the process, like we just broke ground. There is so much that goes into a new build, and it's not through, it's like a full custom. So it's not through like a developer that has like playbooks that are there. The amount of decision making that you have to do, like, and we've hired a designer, but she's literally almost like also an engineer and an architect and has to work with all the different people. And honestly, one of the reasons why I chose her was because it wasn't just like how pretty her portfolio was, but her homes looked like they were like, I don't want a cold house. Yeah. And I want funk, and I want color, and I want personality, and I want it my way. And like, I know what I want. And so for me, I have a hard time. I think maybe I'm the ego, like creative. I'm that person. I am a creative, and I do tend to have this, like, we're letting go of perfectionism, ladies, but I still tend to I want things to be like just right. And so for me, I know what I want. I need somebody to help me execute my vision. Yeah. And that is also what you're sharing on, like, it should be the client's vision. So I think that that's pretty cool. Before we like get out of the business side of it, what are some like design rules that you love breaking? And I really just feel I love design in every aspect of our life. Like, I love fashion for that reason. I love my like space. To me, how it looks, how it feels drives that energy in everything that I'm doing. So for me, like, your reflection of like your spaces and how you present yourself 100% is a reflection of like my companies and my work. Like, I do feel that. As busy CEOs, like, our lives are so crazy. Like, what are some things that we can be doing to ensure that we have the design element, maybe without the interior design dollar price tag?
It's really being sensitive to your environment and really putting some thought and effort into it, but also pairing that with not being too afraid to make mistakes. So I would love it if someone is like, I want to do what pleases me, right? This is going to be my space, and this is what I want. And then they can, break the rules of like, like, I have a friend who's newly single, and she's like, I want a pink bedroom, but like, I don't want to repel men. I'm like, well, I mean, I think you should just get the bedroom that you want, but I love pink. So, maybe I'm biased. And then I was trying to ask about also like the design rules, or like, what is the style? I guess like design is just based on your own taste. But are there are there rules to design? What are some rules that you like breaking? It can be fun to play with scale sometimes. Okay. So maybe you do like a really gigantic coffee table. That doesn't necessarily make sense, but it looks really cool, and everyone has a place to set their drink, even though it's like not the standard size. I like oversized rugs in a room, so like it's almost like you don't even see that much of the floor. That can be really fun. Oversized light fixtures. It's harder to go play with it, like things getting too small. It can just feel a little empty or weird. And, there aren't really a lot of rules. It's like, make sure everything fits. Yeah. Make sure the colors don't clash. I'm not a big color clasher. I tend to like more restful environments, but I think it's just about like going out there and having fun. I like that. I like even the tips on the scale. I think that makes sense. Like, I do like things that you're like, oh, that's interesting, and somehow it can work. I think that's really cool. I want to shift a little bit into the business side. I mean, I learned about you and your business. We've been part of Millionaire Founders Club for about 2 years now, but I felt like I did not know you until I got to know your backstory and how you've decided to shift out of the business after building so much success. I kind of want to ask about your background and the level of mindset work that you've done to really now step into a place where your businesses, all of them, operate. Like, you were literally the most calm person. Like, you're calm, cool, and collected, Melanie. Thank you. And you operate multi-million-dollar companies. I don't think I've ever seen you like a hair out of place or energy out of place. So please just take us back and share how you got here, because that is what I want. And I don't have that. And I know that's what she wants. So tell us, please. Sure. So I've been running my interior design business for 20 years. So it's been a long time. Yeah. And I've started other things on the side. But the aha moment for me that allowed me to step away actually came in my therapist's chair. So she asked me this question I'll never forget, which is, Melanie, what would it be like to allow your business to take care of you? Oh, right? Right. I have goosebumps. Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah. And I really had to think about it. At first, I felt like, oh, like, what is she talking about? Like, it's paying me well, like the team's running it. But she went on to say, because you were parentified as a child, meaning like I was kind of in charge of taking care of my mom instead of the other way around. And because I had a rough childhood, she's like, you learned that your worthiness and your value was wrapped up in caretaking and doing things. And is it possible that you've unconsciously recreated that pattern in your business? So you're caretaking your business instead of having your business take care of you. And honestly, I was like, get me out of here. Get me off this saggy, gross sofa. Like, I don't even want to think about this. And the reason I was so resistant at first is because I was like, I don't want to still be dealing with the way I grew up at this stage of my life. I feel like I've done all the therapy, I've done all the mindset work. I should be beyond this. But it was just this blind spot for me. And sometimes, like you as a coach, you just mirror back to us, like, what we're not seeing. And she did that for me in the most beautiful way. And it changed everything. It was like a true aha moment of like, oh, I'm shifting all the things now.
I don't think I've ever asked myself that question. And I don't think we ask ourselves that. That's a really profound question of why don't our businesses take care of us?
Yeah.
Why?
I have answers.
Share.
I call it codependency in business.
Okay.
That's what rang true for me because I was codependent in my relationship with my mom, in my personal relationships, which means you're not okay if the other person isn't okay.
Yeah.
And you're not okay if your business isn't okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the thought of any piece or part of your business failing means that your nervous system is just going to get really out of whack and you're not going to be okay.
Yeah, it's because then I'm failing if my
then
business
you're then
but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
And this is where I think sometimes maybe these people on Shark Tank get it right, where they're just looking at numbers, they're treating their investments as completely, they're not like, oh, my Google stock went down, I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
That's a really extreme opposite end of the spectrum, but how do we work our way toward that being a little more removed?
I think that's a very fair statement. And I think that they can remove themselves because it's not their business.
Yes.
And so I feel like I'm in this kind of in a different privileged place where I get to see so many businesses. And so for me, I can like look at it and think of it like, oh, here's just your skill problem. Oh, here you need to hire this person. Or it does feel black and white.
Yeah.
But I don't have that in my own business.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have that in my own business. I can do that for my investments. I can do that for my mentees. I could do that for other people. But how did you learn to do that for yourself? Like, what was that work that you had to shift to actually separate that for you? Because that is the difference between the Shark Tank and even me marrying back. I can't do it for myself. I haven't thought about it, to do it in the way that you've phrased it for me. But how did you go about making those changes?
It's kind of like, what is your particular form of codependency? So there's like overworking, overgiving, there's perfectionism. For mine was...
Ding, ding, ding.
Mine was pretending. When I first started in interior design, I had no money. It's a very luxury business. And I was like in credit card debt, like driving a BMW, carrying a Chanel bag. So I was pretending like I was someone I wasn't, which is pretty hard on your nervous system because you're like, I'm going to be found out. That can be really stressful. And then the overworking, the perfectionism, that's all about control. I'm a big journaler. So a couple of the techniques I like is you can do like the 7 layers deep exercise, which is like you just keep asking yourself why. So why can't I let go of my business? Because I don't want it to fail. Why? And then you will eventually get to something crazy.
Yeah. Like
I did that for me. I noticed I wasn't showing up for my marketing. Like I kept writing things on my to-do list and not doing them. I was like, what is going on here? Let me do that exercise. And I came to the conclusion, and it was so dumb, and it was in my subconscious, and I had to bring it conscious, and it was good moms can't be millionaires. Oh. That was what was holding me back. I was like, I can't be successful and be a good mom. Like, so stupid. So then I started looking for evidence of people like you that are good moms and millionaires. What is causing that? And then it's like changing those mean girl thoughts in your head too. I think that was huge for me.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for the tip as well on the journaling portion. The 7 whys are something we can all do. The interesting thing to me is you did it on like, why am I not showing up for marketing, right? Like you did it from a business context, but got to root cause of it. This is deep, y'all. This is really good. This is deep. But the business side of it, to kind of come back to, and I wanted to ask on the why, because we get the context behind it. You've been able to really step out as CEO. And I'd like for you to share a little bit of that life and what that looks like, and then what your day-to-day looks like. And then we can go into the how. But let's paint that picture.
Well, I don't do anything I don't want to do. Literally, like I'll be sitting in the dentist chair and I'm like, yeah, I don't love this, but I want to have teeth,
Yeah.
So I feel like the main...
There's no teeth look, it's no good. Yeah.
Like it seems important. The main driver for me is freedom, right? Like that's all I'm going for. I just want to feel peace and freedom.
Yeah.
And I have that now, which is wild to say. And I had it when I was sitting on my therapist's couch.
Yeah.
I just wasn't allowing it. So now I allow it. And it looks like I decide what do I want to do. And I do that. I mean, it's very simple.
It's that simple, Ace. All right. What is it I want to do? And I do that. One of my dear friends and my organizational coach, Laura Gallagher, who's been on the show, and
she's amazing.
She's amazing. And at the conference, she always blows my mind on like the words that I like leave with. She's like, stress is a choice.
Yeah.
That's deep. Like stress is a choice. And so what you choose, like you choose, you get to choose. I want to pick on it a little bit. It comes from not from a place of like you worked hard to get to a point where you were like, how did you make those choices? And what did the business element look like for you to have that freedom? You had that intention. You're able to make those choices, but you also had players and systems that supported that. And that part is important for you to have that peace and freedom. And you can have peace and freedom and choose also not to be your business to scale. You can choose that today. And so people can have that choice today. But I think where it becomes challenging is where does the ambition, the goals with the success, and then pairing that with the freedom, that formula is the one that I'm looking for.
I mean, I think what I noticed, and I can't speak to, I haven't been inside of as many businesses as you have, but what worked for me in terms of structure and team and stepping away is really just being super clear, because I have a service business, what the client experience, what I want that to be.
Okay.
So really getting clear of like, what does that look like? It looks like we're in touch with them every week. We respond to their emails within X amount of hours. We do this, we do that. And this really putting that all out there and then training my team on it. So it's a lot of like hard work once. And then I think where I kept getting pulled back in, this is the third time I've stepped away from my business. So, it takes a little trial and error. Where I kept getting pulled back in is like someone would go on maternity leave or a client would fire us or, someone try to sue us, whatever. And I'd be like, oh, I have to do this. I'm the only person who can do this. I have to come in and save the day. And it's like, okay, how do you trust your team and allow them to fail? Because that's how we all started.
Yeah.
We didn't come in with some playbook.
Nope.
So how do you give them the parameters, like almost like the bumpers in the bowling lane, but like let them shoot wherever they're going to shoot. They're eventually going to get there.
And when you say this is the third time that I've stepped away for the business, can you just tell us what that looks like?
Yeah. The first time I hired a creative director who I worked with, just her, and she ran the team. And then she left to go start her own business. And I just didn't have a plan in place. So what I was doing is I was building up people, but not necessarily systems, right? So you have your 3 Ps, and one of them is process, right? So I didn't have great processes. And I think like the women that I'm coaching now, I see where they get stuck is they're like, I need 2 weeks to put down all my processes and I just can't find that kind of time.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't actually, you just need to think deeply about what are you worried about and what worries can you let go of?
It's funny because people also is what goes in my head. And I know process, they're my 3 Ps. People, process, profit. Those are the 3 Ps of scale. For me, I'm like, if I have good people, then they can also help me build good process. What happens when the people go, right? Yeah. And you don't have the process and the process goes with them. It is super important from a process level standpoint to have those processes in place. And you answered it, because that is where I get stuck. She gets stuck. It's like, we don't have the time to zoom out to say, okay, I got to go build the processes, but they just need to, it doesn't have to be so complicated. You can get started and start removing, like putting it out of your head and onto paper. And it's like asking the questions of what actually does need to get done.
Yeah.
You didn't talk about this, but probably around like simplifying what you do as well and who you serve is probably there, because what I find when I'm looking at businesses is they're just trying to do too much for everyone. So you can't even simplify your process or your people because you're trying to serve the world.
Yeah.
Is that something that you went through from an edit process?
Absolutely. Well, and I told you I was getting creative with creating all these new offers and like distracting my team with my new ideas. I'd hear a podcast and be like, let's go. And they're like, wait, what? I thought we were doing this thing over here. I'm like, no, now we're doing this thing. So it is really staying focused and simple and culling your offers down, knowing your numbers of like what is actually profitable, obviously. And do more of that, even though it's boring. Just do more of that same thing that's actually making you money. And what I'm doing is I write now. So that's where my creativity is, right? I get up in the morning and I write and I love it. And I just leave my business alone, right? It gets to just go and be profitable.
I like that. I mean, do you guys get why I'm like, she's so cool and chill and collected? And that's exactly where we want to be. That's where I want to be. And there's moments of that I find. And then the business's personal element still comes back for me. And I'm like, oh, it's my name. Oh, it's my brand. Oh, and then I get so bogged down in the weeds of like, why am I still approving social media posts? Like, why am I still approving some of the things that I'm like, but it's just my identity crisis in there. Like, that's the inner work that we all can do to let go and treat business also. It's a good reminder as such. And still be able to, like, it goes back to like, what's the why and why are you doing this?
Always.
Like, it always goes back to the why. And we just get so caught up in the hamster wheel that we don't actually get time to pull ourselves out.
Yeah.
Melanie, if you had like one message to share with all of these women who want to be as cool, collected, and calm as you really are. You're like the coolest person ever. I know I keep saying that. You're so incredible and you're so kind and you're so successful and you're so humble and you dress really well. What is the advice that you would give to young CEOs like us, regardless of where we're at in our journey?
I mean, what's funny is I wouldn't have listened to my own advice. So it's a really funny position to be in, to be like, well, here's what, what I'd love for everyone to know is that you are already worthy as you are. There's nothing else you need to achieve. There's nothing else you need to accomplish. You just being out there and being who you are and like sharing your gifts with the world. Keep going and, just be kind to yourself inside your own head. I think that's the most important thing.
I think that's beautiful advice for all of us. And Melanie, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's been such a treat to have you. And I know our audience absolutely love this episode. If you love this episode, please share it with a friend. That's all I ask. Share it with a friend, leave us a review, tag Melanie and I so we know that you're listening and that this message resonated with you. I'll be linking everything in the show notes. Where can we find you?
CoddingtonDesign.com and MelanieCoddington.com.
I'll be linking everything in the show notes. And until next time, we'll see you at CEO School.